How have combat operations affected your views on war and world peace?
I've often felt that there's a righteousness trying to defend someone who can't defend themselves, but it conflicts with this idea of world peace. I think I'm still struggling with that issue, to be honest with you. How do we bring about world peace? Is the military solution going to lead to peace? Well, historical examples show us, from World War II and Korea, peace does eventually come about, but it doesn't really come at the barrel of a gun. So I just wish that those leaders who send their young men off to fight would really think about the ramifications and the implications of what that means. Sadly enough, today in our society, Congress and our electorate, I don't know how many of those guys have actually served in a combat zone and know what it is to make that vote to go to war. I'm not one to, question my orders. If I'm ordered to go to war, then that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it 1,000%. I just don't see combat operations as the most productive way to achieve lasting world peace. I think the military has recognized this as well. On my last deployment in Iraq, there's a new term that was brought up to me in my Marine Corps leadership classes. It was called non-kinetic operations. And I'm like, what the heck kind of jargon is non-kinetic operations? Well, then they're like explaining to us there's kinetic operations where you actually go out and hunt down and kill and destroy the enemy. And then there's non-kinetic operations where you're rebuilding the sewers, putting up electricity, making sure the markets are open, teaching the Iraqi police force how to be professional. I wish that the combat operations would never have to happen. And, given any combat vet who's been there and done that, I think 95% of them would agree they would not want to go through that again. I wish that we never would have to go to such extremes. But there's got to be reconciliation on both sides. This ideology that says that you can kill yourself and take other people with you, that's got to be eradicated before we can put down our arms and come to some agreement on how we can help your country to be better, whether it be through economics and or through whatever other means there are. Yeah, I was always told as a Marine to stay in your pay grade. So I feel like in this question, I've traversed many pay grades. I'm sure there's many generals and colonels and gunnery sergeants who've tossed that question over and over. Is what we're doing in Iraq actually going to help bring about a more peaceful and safe world? My personal opinion is, yes, it has. I've seen it from day one to where we are now in Iraq. Incidentally, there's a grassroots movement in the internet calling November 22nd Victory in Iraq Day as a result of the lower occurrences of violence. For myself, though, I personally feel that combat operations is probably the most barbaric way to achieve peace, and in the end creates many more problems between tribes, between think about all the Marines who come back and are all messed up with post-traumatic stress disorder. Here's this young 18-year-old kid, he wants to serve his country, he goes out there, thinking, oh, John Wayne. Well, it ain't John Wayne. It's something really different. And I don't know if every Marine would agree with me, But that's my personal feeling, that combat operations can help foster peace, but it's not the most efficient, effective way. It's got to be a last resort. I'll close with one line that I was taught as a junior Marine when I was standing guard duty. When you're standing guard duty, you're authorized in some certain circumstances to use deadly force. Deadly force is that force which a reasonable or sane person will know to cause serious bodily harm and or death should it be applied, and should only be implemented as a last resort when all lesser means have failed. So I would end it like that. Lesser means are definitely needed before we play the deadly force card.
Okay, thank you so much. What are some of the biggest misperceptions you've come across here at home about your mission in Iraq?
Everyone listens to the mainstream media. Unfortunately, in the mainstream media or in the newsprint, all you're going to read about is the death toll or the horrible things that are going on in Iraq. And so perhaps that one Marine who had a bad day and did something against what he was trained to do, and shot a civilian or something like that. So this whole negative, Vietnam-esque kind of mentality hits you when you talk to your, people around, But everyone has this kind of sugar-coated candy expression of support the troops. I support the troops, but I don't support the war. Oh my God. You either support what's going on there or you don't, because I'm the war. I'm the one pulling the trigger out there. I'm the one that's got to go and pull the trigger. So either you support me or you don't. So there's this big rift, I find. On the other hand, I've never been embraced by my fellow citizen so much as since having come back from Iraq. People generally appreciate everything that we do. So here's this strange oxymoron or contradiction. You have this news media that is just saying horrible, negative things about America, about the American military, about Marines, but yet the people back home are so grateful for what we're doing. And then people have questions. They want to know what's going on in Iraq. I can tell you what was going on in Ramadi. I can tell you, that Ramadi now has the most stable level of government it had since Saddam Hussein. That, the Boy Scouts in Ramadi has been restored. They have weekend soccer games. They have an ice cream parlor that's open. We used to go over to Ahmed's kebab shop over on 20th Street and buy kebabs. Whereas before, back in 2004, we were getting shot at on 20th Street. So the misperception is that we somehow failed in Iraq. I don't think we failed at all. I think we could have done a better job had we had a better plan, for post-combat operations, not allowing the insurgency to thrive as much as it did. That was probably, once again, I'm reminded by Chesty Puller, who's speaking to me now, to stay in my pay grade. These are not the Marine Corps' views. These are my views of going there and coming back.
Okay, thank you very much. On that note, Staff Sergeant Justin Harding, thank you so much for having been our guest today on The Defining Moment. It's really been a pleasure and a privilege to have you here as our guest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. You've been watching The Defining Moment for Creating a Culture of Conscience. You can find us on the internet at www.definingmoment.tv. Thanks for watching and have a great day.